I'll tell you what else is wrong. You framers of the government entrusted the states with too much power.
What specifically are you talking about? Are you referring to items included in this sign? Same textbooks, same education in New York or New Orleans?
Yes, sir, I am. I thought I heard that John Dewey is here. He can better explain my concern.
I am John Dewey, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak. I was an American philosopher, psychologist, and educational reformer. Like all of you, esteemed founding fathers, I strongly believed in the importance education plays in the health and survival of a democracy. We're also concerned that the general public would have difficulty making wise decisions, especially with regard to voting, if they weren't taught the difference between fact and fiction, how to solve problems, and how to think critically. Am I correct?
Yes, of course. What's the problem?
How do we guarantee that all students are receiving this type of education?
This was a responsibility we left to the states, where it belongs.
Why do you say that?
The business of education is too large for the national government to control and determine its standards. Each state should decide what is appropriate for the state.
Perhaps this is a decision that should be questioned. Look what's going on across the country today. I would concede that many states consider education a priority, and their textbooks teach the truth about history and science. On the other hand, there are states that refuse to spend enough money on an education that realistically prepares children for their future. Many students graduate from states' high schools unprepared to attend college, acquire a decent job, or vote, or even shop wisely. Many students are also ignorant of historical and scientific facts. They use textbooks tailored to teach history and science based on the viewpoints, sometimes religious viewpoints, of the people in power in the states. The teaching of evolution and climate change, for example, should not be up for debate.
Shouldn't it be the state's right to decide whether creationism, intelligent design, and evolution be taught together?
Absolutely not. Real science should be taught. How can we solve the problems of the future if research is based on myths and misinformation?
Well, just as we have seen with slavery, there are extreme differences in thinking in different states that ultimately impact on the progressiveness of our nation. Education is too important to be left to the political perspectives of state legislatures.
Perhaps the national government should have more power to regulate the standards of education in all schools across the nation. Children in poor and wealthy communities are equally important, and they all should have access to a quality education.
John Dewey, I couldn't agree with you more. I wish you were around when we were writing the Constitution.
Certain states will never give up their local control over education.
If the people care enough, they will make their voices heard loud enough to reach Washington, D.C.
I see it as near morning. We have covered many subjects that divide the people. Thank you all for sharing your stories and your perspectives.
And all of these critical issues, yes, they demand discussion, debate, and ultimately compromise. Unfortunately, the solutions are not in our hands.